If you're over 50 and you're unsure of what walking shoes to buy, I'm going to share with you 4 of the best on the market right now, depending on your foot type, the type of support that you need, and I'm going to break down 2 key mistakes that I see people make in clinic all the time. So first of all, when's the last time you actually measured your feet? As we get older, the ligaments in our feet stretch, and that means that our feet can get wider or longer over time. And that's one of the key mistakes that I see patients make when it comes to discomfort in their feet, getting blistering or calluses. Now I've got an easy to follow step-by-step guide that you can pick up in the description below, which allows you to measure your feet at home and gives you a sizing guide for both the width of your feet and the length of your feet. Not only that, I also discuss which shape of a shoe will work best for you. Now the second mistake that I see people make all the time is they put on a shoe in the store and they pick the one that feels most comfortable straight away when it comes to softness and pillow-like feel. Unfortunately, that doesn't always last. And it's important to keep in mind that if you get a really soft marshmallow feeling shoe, it causes your foot to work harder to try and stabilize in the shoe. Now there are a few instances where that can be beneficial for people, but in most cases, if you're walking for long periods or even just standing in these types of shoes, it can cause muscle fatigue and therefore increase the amount of discomfort that you get in your feet. So 2 important factors to really keep in mind when looking after your feet. So let's start off with our 4 recommended pairs. First up is an alternative to the Hoka Bondi, which is one of the most popular shoes in the market, but the Altra Ford V2 does a better job in my opinion. The reasons for this is you still get lots of cushioning underneath your foot, but it's not as chunky. The cushioning is relatively soft, but it's quite balanced overall, so you get that really nice comfortable sink-in feeling when you step into the shoe at first, but you can walk for long periods of time and the cushioning feels balanced and not unstable. Now one of the key things that I really love about this shoe, especially over a shoe like the Hoka Bondi, is the width of the shoe on top of your foot. Now this is a really key thing to keep in mind when you're picking up shoes. First of all, they've got Altra's classic anatomical toe box. Now that means that you get lots of space in there for your toes to splay, for your toes to move naturally. Not only that, they've got one of the widest midfoots on the market, so if you have a broader foot, you have a flatter foot that's expanded over time, or you have a high instep. This will work for all of those people. The only people that the foot won't work for is if you have a really narrow foot. Don't worry, we have you covered for that as well later on in the video. Now underneath the shoe, you have a really broad platform, plenty of rubber grip, and unlike most Altra shoes, this has a 4mm difference in height from the back to the front of the shoe. Now that's really useful if you want a nice even distribution of pressure across your foot. It helps keep you balanced when you're walking or when you're standing, but I wouldn't recommend it to you if you have ankle mobility problems. In that case, you're more likely to be better off with a higher drop shoe, which I'll touch on later on. But overall, an excellent option that's completely underrated. Then the shoe that's probably best for most people is the Brooks Ghost Max 3. And honestly, it's a shoe that I've just talked about non-stop this year. The reason for that is the cushioning is fantastic. It's much more balanced than what we get in the Altra in terms of it's slightly firmer underfoot. That's why it can be a little bit confusing when you try it on in store. You might walk around and think the shoe feels a little bit stiff, but actually it's giving you a really stable platform to work with. Not only that, we have an excellent fit on top, so not as wide as what we see in the Altra. For those of you with a slightly narrower foot, you can get an excellent lockdown in the midfoot. There's plenty of space in the toe box, and it comes in a wide version as well. The other thing to note about this is that it's got lots of volume in the toe box in terms of height, so that means it's one of the most orthotic friendly shoes on the market. So if you are someone who wears a custom orthotic or an off-the-shelf one, you can just slip out the insole within this and just replace it with yours. Fantastic traction underneath the shoe. Now it is quite stiff in the forefoot, so that means if you have issues around the big toe joint or sensitivity in the ball of the foot, like Morton's neuroma, metatarsalgia, this is an excellent shoe. Now some of the downsides of this shoe is it's a little bit clunky, may not be as aesthetically pleasing as some other shoes on the market, but it does come in an array of colours and it is one of the most durable shoes that you will find out there. That's one of the main concerns that patients discuss with these types of shoes, that the cushioning bottoms out really quickly or the grip runs out really quickly. That's not the case in the Ghost Max 3, just a fantastic option. Then if you're looking for a little bit more stability, the Hoka Gaviota 6 has you covered. It is an excellent update compared to the previous iterations of this shoe. First of all, you've got quite a balanced cushioning, but it is a little bit softer than what we get in the Brooks Ghost Max 3. But in return, you get lots of stability. So it has Hoka's H-frame system built into the midsole, and that essentially means that it's giving you extra stability either side of the shoe, and across the middle, so it gives you torsional stability but also focuses on keeping you centered in the shoe as you move. Now that means you don't have any intrusive arch support, nothing pushing up into your foot, so if you're someone with a rigid flat foot, you'll really enjoy this. If you're someone who just needs an extra bit of support, this will work fantastically well for you as well. Or if you're someone who struggles with balance issues, the really wide platform and the H-frame will do an excellent job of keeping you supported throughout the day. On top of the shoe, we have a fit that's much more superior than what we get in all the other Hoka models. So it's lots of space in the toe box and a really snug fit on the midfoot and the heel. It comes in a wide version if you've got a larger foot, but if you've got a narrower foot and you need some stability, this is the option to go for. One of the downsides of this type of shoe is it's a little bit heavier and you're a little bit higher off the ground because of the max cushioning. But it is deceptive because it is quite firm underfoot. Then if you walk on forest paths, gravel, or you like to go off-road, the Nike ACG Pegasus Trail is a great option. It just came out in 2026, and underneath you can see that we've got some lugs to give you excellent grip. The outer rubber gives you fantastic traction on wet surfaces. Now it's a road to trail shoe, so you can use it for walking on the roads, or it covers you if you step on gravel or onto forest paths, even onto some light mud. It sticks to the ground and gives you lots of traction. The broad base underneath and the relatively balanced cushioning means that it gives you a stable platform, and of the 4 shoes that we talked about today, it gives you the most ground contact feel, so it doesn't feel like you're really high off the ground. Now the final thing that I want to discuss with this is that they adopted the fit on top compared to the previous iterations of the Pegasus Trail, so you now have one of the widest toe boxes of any Nike shoes on the market. It allows your toes to splay. The only downside to it is that it has a slightly lower volume. So if you do have a bigger foot in general, you might find it a little bit too tapered in terms of volume and height in the toe box. Otherwise you got tremendous lockdown, it's really comfortable for all day wearing and a fantastic versatile option. So in summary, make sure you have the right size shoe for your feet. Don't get an overly cushioned shoe. If you want an alternative to a Hoka shoe that gives you the best fit on the market, then try the Altra Ford V2. If you're looking for a very balanced shoe that's the best overall, Brooks Ghost Max 3. If you need a little bit of extra stability without intrusive arch support, the Hoka Gaviota 6. And if you need a versatile road to trail option, then the Nike ACG Pegasus Trail. They're all linked in the description below if you want to check out the latest prices on Amazon. Otherwise, don't forget to pick up our free guide if you're interested in your shoe width and length. And if you have any questions on the shoes, please drop them in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody. And finally, if you've watched the channel before but you haven't subscribed, please do, as a single thing you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to the channel.